in regards to the stretching myth, for the most part, a lot of people get this blown out of proportion on both sides. You have those who are pro-stretching and those who are anti-stretching. There's a middle ground. We need to stretch more in general as a society. We're so goddamn tight and stuck in positions that we need to do more stretching. Most of the athletes that I come across, and even general population clients, none of them stretch anywhere near enough. Now, do you need to spend an hour of stretching before your workout? No, you don't. You need to get yourself warmed up, get yourself pliable enough and into the proper positions that you need to be in for the workout, and then go about doing your workout. The best time I find to stretch is actually a couple hours post-workout, or if that's not necessarily going to work for you, you know you're not the type of person that's going to follow through on that, then you stretch immediately after the workout. You take 15, 20 minutes and stretch. We should be stretching 20 to 30 minutes every day. The muscle groups that you work during a specific workout, stretch those out afterwards. Do a little bit of pre-workout stretching. Don't just focus strictly on, oh, I just have to lift heavy. Take a look at how many power lifters are mobile enough to even do a deep full squat, and this is without throwing 300 pounds on their back to help force them into it. Not very many. Take a look at how many middle-aged people are flexible enough to reach down and touch the toe. So that should tell you we need, as a society, both athletes and general population, to actually stretch more. So to summarize, the stretching myth gets blown out of proportions from both sides. We need to stretch more, but there is a fine line between too much and too little. We need to do more. What international seminars you suggest for bodybuilding prep coach? Assuming that this is for the natural trainee, not really many these days. Almost all of them are run by people who are so hopped up on gear it doesn't matter. Other than that, Milo Sarcev is really intelligent when it comes to bodybuilding. He's kind of one of the guys who's really been known for being one of the smarter people. Is there any specific seminar I would recommend? Personally, no. I think they're overpriced. I don't believe that they're actually worth that kind of money for bodybuilding. Like, you don't really need a massive international seminar to learn how to get a pump and grow muscle. All you need to really do is get in the gym, work your ass off, eat properly afterwards, and eat well. You need to build muscle, you need to be in a caloric and a protein nitrogen surplus, and at the same time, don't put on too much fat. At a certain point, when you put on too much fat, you're going to end up insulin resistant. So you got to keep that in mind. You'll always hear the whole bulking and cutting thing. We don't need to be doing these mass bulking phases. A lot of these bulking phases cause people to become unhealthy, and then they have a harder time actually cutting the fat. So just focus on progressively adding more overall tension, mechanical tension and damaged trauma to the muscle. Periodize your training over time so that you're able to actually benefit from the law of specificity, or the SAID principle, specific adaptation to imposed demand. So you got to continuously keep pushing the muscle, both from a strength point of view and from a kind of pump hypertrophy point of view. So how do you teach sprinters about pelvis and rib stability? For the most part, that's done by their technical coach, their track coach. But when it comes to getting them to be more cognizant of it, one of the fastest ways to do so is just video analysis. You just kind of show them, and you can also break it down into where they're kind of weak, and using something that I picked up from Andre Benoit is a slow step up assessment, where you just set a step up to mid-calf level, and from there you go with a slow, like you're talking 5-second concentric, 5-second eccentric tempo on it to see, okay, are they able to keep the hip stable, or does the hip kind of collapse in or out? And that could tell you, and right away the athlete will be able to know, oh crap, so this is actually weak and causing me to bleed energy, for lack of a better analogy here. Rib stability, don't really focus too much on that. The sprinters that I've dealt with, they don't really have that issue, but for the most part, it gets taken care of on the track. How would you program endurance building for 400 meter sprinters? The good old quarter milers. So for this, you gotta be going into a very dark place quite frequently. By this I mean you're constantly going to be working in the lactic threshold and working on lactic capacity, lactic power. So you're looking at doing like repeat 300s, 400s, 500s, 600 meter runs repeatedly, breakdown runs with relatively short rest during the fall, and doing high volume with this. Like you're looking at, for those metric system people, 3.5 kilometers of total volume. For you American style people still working in miles, you're looking at 2 miles of total volume in a typical workout or averaged out in cross workouts. When you start to get into the specific prep phase, this kind of gets cut down a little bit, but still the volume for quarter milers, for the 400 meter guys, the volume on the track running wise is still going to be quite high. As you get closer to the competition, obviously the volume is going to get cut down so that you're not imposing too much neurological and physiological stress and fatigue on the athlete. Doing like 400 meter runners, they go through they go through hell and back. I remember one of the guys that I used to work with and who I trained with before that, he had a workout that we affectionately just called it the phone book workout, because he would have 10 runs in a single session, and it was any distance basically that you could dial. For the most part, endurance building for 400 meter sprinters, they're going to start out relatively high volume, and for the first several weeks or a couple of months, that volume is going to keep ramping up. And then as the phase changes, you start out with a little less volume, ramp up the volume until you get into the specific prep phase, where you would start out with the higher volume and you taper the volume off to a lower volume. So, question that just came in, a simple periodization of sprints for fat loss. So you really don't need to periodize this for fat loss. This gets vastly overcomplicated by so many trainers out there right now. All you have to do is take a look at, okay, are they still losing fat or not for the most part? And you've got to keep people in an anaerobic state so that they're constantly going to be using their glycolytic system. Now, for the most part, people are thinking that what they're doing as high intensity interval training is actually HIIT training, when it isn't. It's more moderate intensity interval training. True high intensity interval training, you're going to need 7 minutes rest between, especially for the general person, because if they're using a high enough intensity level to be considered HIIT, they're not going to be able to recover fast enough. Now, with people trying to just get fat loss, something that I use with my summer athletes is what I refer to as upbacks. So it's something that I used to do when I did track, but it was in the base phase, where you would literally just do sets of 3 times 100 meters with 30-second rest in between each run. And then you would start out with anywhere from going from 6 all the way up to 10 sets of this, and between sets you get 2 minutes. So it'd be like you do sprint, well, not sprint, but you'd run fairly hard, 100 meters, rest for 30 seconds, turn around, do 100 meters, do that one more time, and then you get 2 minutes rest, and repeat that until you've gone through all the sets. This will cut the fat off of just about anybody. If it's going to work for Olympic sprinters, it's going to work for the regular person. Plus, you can scale the intensity of the run down for the individual person. For the most part, though, periodizing sprints for fat loss, it gets vastly blown out of proportion. You don't need to be thinking that you have to go, 4 weeks we're going to do this, and in 4 weeks we're going to switch to doing something else. You can switch between doing some hill runs and some flat on the ground stuff. You can throw in sprints on the rower, you can throw in sprints on an erg ski. And for the most part, you just have to get it so that they're working above their lactate threshold, so keeping them above 75% of their heart rate reserve for more than 20 seconds at a time, and then repeating that over and over. They're going to burn fat. They're going to stay in their glycolytic energy system, and then when they're resting, their aerobic system's going to kick in. So from there, they're going to be able to burn the fat. Our industry likes to complicate things for no reason. Let's keep it as simple as we can. Your clients will get better results. Athletes will get better results. Anyways, something else that I just want to take a few seconds to address is the whole coronavirus going around. It's now here in Ottawa. Our Prime Minister's wife has it. So something to keep in mind with it is best things you can do. Get more sleep, relax more. You need to actually rest and relax. You've got to take the time for yourself. And if you're coming down with the symptoms, go get screened. There's no harm in going and getting screened and knowing you don't have it, but there is harm in having it and not knowing. That's when you're a danger to others. Wash your hands for 20 seconds at a time. Soap and water. Soap and water has been proven to be one of the best ways of preventing any kind of transmission with this. Something else, eat a high nutritious diet. Don't start fasting right now. Don't start picking up a new diet. Keep yourself well fed with healthy foods. Avoid processed foods. And then let's not stress out too much about it. I just wanted to take a moment to kind of acknowledge that and what's going on. The world's going a little crazy. Help your neighbor out. Don't start hoarding toilet paper. You're not going to be needing freaking 6 months worth of toilet paper right now. Stock up on some essential food items.
Alright, thank you for watching right to the end of this video. If you'd like to see more content by me, click the subscribe button here, and for another YouTube suggested video by me, click here. And if you liked what you saw today, don't forget, click the little like button below. Until next time, Coach Tony, Wrestling Podium Performance.